Next speaker, Sergio, is a coworker of mine, and we'll talk about technology we are using in our company and several of our customers. It's something that in all projects in open source we have seen increasingly, which is a desktop on the web.
Thank you, Pau, and thank you so much for giving me the chance to to present the paper and be here today. Yes, thank you. So, but first of all, I want to introduce myself. Okay, I am Sergio Cisternes, and I work for Everest. Okay, that is a Spanish consultancy firm that is part of the Entity Data Group. Okay, and you can find me around in Twitter, in GitHub. Okay, I have also my own blog that I mainly blog about Microsoft technologies, but also more and more about other things. Okay. Why? Because mainly I've become a consultant related with Microsoft technologies. Okay, I grow from developer to architect and then lead architect. Okay, so it's also a right for me to come to an open source event with Microsoft technologies, and you also will realize that I'm with a Mac. So I think it looks promising: Microsoft architect, Mac, and open source. Okay, so I want to talk about two things today. The first one, a crazy idea that I have in my mind, and how we are applying Microsoft technologies to try to make it real. Okay, and I want to start with three simple questions. Okay, how many of you are involved in some way with corporate or department applications? Okay, good. Using Microsoft technologies, good. Good to know. And how many plan to use some corporate applications in the future if they are not applying it now? Okay, you're not thinking to change anything. Okay. So okay, when I talk, when I say corporate applications, I'm into RP, CRM, CRS. Okay, those kind of technologies that the companies need to run their business. Okay, because there are a lot of solutions. Okay, that in the market that the companies need to choose, need to assess, and then install, and then maintain over the time. And in my experience running as consultant in Spain, I've been a while here in Brussels and now also in Switzerland, I realized that there's several problems, okay, with the solutions that you find on the market. No? They are expensive solutions with closed source, okay? They are extremely difficult to integrate one between others. You can buy a big SAP, but then it's really difficult to integrate with other solutions, for instance. Sometimes the user experience is ugly, and it's something that is very, very important in today's mobile-first world. Users are used to beautiful user interface, so it's a very, very common problem. The setup, the most of times, is painful. You need a very complex process of deployment, and it's really difficult to adjust to the business. Okay, you always try to keep these corporate applications as standard as possible. Okay, and don't talk about switching from one product to other, because it's really a pain. Meanwhile, on the earth, there's a lot of people that you can see around us here in Frozen that is creating some technologies that are disconnected. No, you have a lot of dots in the path that. If we make go into this quote from the Stanford commencement speech 2005 of Steve Jobs, when he said, "You can connect the dots looking forward. You can connect only them looking backward. So you have to trust that the dots will some connect in the future." Okay, so we go around and see all the dots that the people is putting on the table right now, and you. Have a look, for example, in this dot that is the iPhone, and the dot that Apple then realized. So the App Store, we firstly think, why there is no web desktop that provides the ability to companies to deploy corporate applications like the personal app stores do. No? Why there is no a click and deploy? So you can modularize or you can choose the best solution for your company. And you need to go for standard solutions, cloud solutions that you cannot customize, you cannot integrate because there's a battle between the companies. So why we can open a new business model where any developer in the world can create a module that can be deployed to App Store and any company in the world can download. No? So this is more or less what I truly believe, that with the existing technologies, like we saw before, for example, with Kubernetes, with Ansible, of that automation tools that we have right now in the market, if we connect them all and we put the right investment and vision, we can create a new business model, okay, a corporate web desktop, okay, where there's with an attached app store inside, okay, covering all the business needs that a company may have, because maybe big companies have the budget that they need to install, for example, one big solution, okay, for a CRM or whatever. But when you're in a startup, you don't have that budget. But you have more or less the same needs. You need to control your money. You need to control your clients. So, for instance, all these small companies that are starting would be immediately benefited from this kind of tools. And this gives us to the second part. No? How can technically we're trying to approach to this model, because there's a long path, okay? And I will talk later. We're trying to switch using Microsoft technologies from a model where we develop using applications that are manually deployed to AIS or whatever, okay, and trying to switch to it's not a microservice or some way, to an API model, okay, where every application is split in two sides. The first side is the front end that is completely disconnected from the back end, okay, and the only point of entrance is this web desktop, okay. So any user that wants to get into the platform, they have the single sign-on point of entrance. They get into the desktop, and the desktop is getting the information from all the applications that are inside. Okay, this big cluster of applications. And this is also true for mobile phones. We can extend also this model to create some sort of corporate applications that read from all these backend systems that we are deploying. Okay. And as I said, this is something that is in our hand now, because using Microsoft technologies, you can create a Kubernetes cluster in Azure. You can deploy the front-end technologies and the back-end technologies, split it, and offer the service scaling massively as the user needs, all in your own premises, in your private or your public cloud. Okay, so this is. I see this, and I think that is something that is misused. This technology has a lot of power that applying the right changes or the right effort, we can create something more. Okay, but the point is this is a long road. Okay, and we are barely in the first step. No, we're trying to set a base development framework. Okay, based on .NET technologies, because is one of the technologies that we at Everest use. Okay, we're not only Microsoft based. We have Microsoft, Oracle, SAP. Okay, we cover the vast variety of technologies that the market demands. But I wanted to relate in one of our bases, okay, that it was the Microsoft technologies, and leverage our knowledge on it to create this. Okay, so we need to set this base framework. We need to architect, define, and implement this view of web desktop that you can deploy the application and automatically run them. Define an App Store model open to everyone, so they can connect, get any application they need for this business, and get it run. Okay. Create the model, the App Store, fill it. That is the hard part, because you need a lot of business knowledge that a lot of companies maybe have in the market, and put it on their way. Okay. So the first step, okay, how we are trying to make this first step to create a web desktop using Microsoft technologies, okay? So we started from this point that is more or less how we used to architect solutions from Microsoft technologies, okay? We used jQuery in the front end combined with some sort of server rendering, okay? Using WCF services, okay? This sounds familiar for some of you. You know, I used to Microsoft technologies, more or less, okay? And most of them were closed source, okay? It was on the Microsoft control, and they, okay, we know what this means, okay? And with this development model, we found that we have several issues. For example, we found that we have performance problems, for instance, in the front-end development point of view, because all these problems with the VO state, the state management, okay, all these implements that have the server rendering, okay. We also have problems with the maintainability, okay, with the HTML and JS hate that many of the developers demonstrated to us when we planted, we set this architecture, said, I don't feel comfortable with HTML. I'd rather than do this in the backend. Okay. We also found problems with this architecture with the user experience, okay, in the elasticity of the solutions, how we can scale, or how we can give all the resources that the companies need, okay. And also from the costs, okay, from the economic point of view, the development and maintenance and the hosting were not cheap, okay. And also the time to market, and also the integration. Okay. So we had to find a point. So how we can improve, starting from where we are, how we can change all the pieces to create some sort of corporate web desktop that can start to work the path that we want to follow. So we wanted to find a super user experience. We want to offer what users is truly expecting from application nowadays. Okay. We also wanted to try to rely on open source software, so replacing all the pieces that were closed or were out of maintenance, and open the door to new technologies under the Microsoft spectrum. Okay. We also wanted to align with the trend that Microsoft is setting now, okay, with its new brand open source point of view that they are following now, opening the .NET Core code, actively developing it in GitHub. Okay, we want to decouple also the front and the back end, and we try to use mature libraries. Okay, and again, we want to leverage in the existing knowledge in .NET technologies that we have. So basically, we started replacing, okay, from the previous slide, to start changing all the technologies that we have. We had, for example, we chose Angular, replacing the old jQuery approach. We switched from the closed version of the .NET framework to the open version one with .NET Core. Okay, we are trying to run our business with .NET Core also, switching also to the open versions of Entity Framework and optionally Dapper. Okay. And if we compare with the previous one, we are moving to a more open solution rather than relying only with the closed version. Okay. So getting into the technology that we chose. Okay. That maybe there are several questions. So what we changed? Okay. With jQuery, we found that with this technology in the presentation layer, engineers express their hate. I don't like to work with HTML and JS. I don't know if you had also this feeling in the past, if you worked with this kind of technology, that maybe the people you work with don't like it. No? We found, okay? So this makes the engineers tend to do everything in backend, okay? Ignoring the network hopes, okay, and the poor user experience that it was given to the solutions. So we switched to a pure client-side rendering using Angular, Okay, so we tried to have as low as the developer learning curve as low as possible. So now the developers really love developing the front end. Okay, we found that when someone starts working with Angular, at the beginning it's a bit difficult, but in the middle term it's very, very positive. Okay, the feedback that we have from them. So now we have a clear control, okay, and clear vision from what is front end, only Angular. This is your presentation layer, and you cannot develop out of it, and the backend, okay, where all the controls and all the C# code is running. So this gives us a truly amazing user experience, okay, so and also a very good performance. And then this is the second major decision that we've made over the Microsoft stack about removing completely the server-side rendering. Okay, the developers are not allowed anymore to do any HTML rendering in the backend. Okay, because we had serious issues with the session handling, and we have very, very difficult moments handling the VO state, because this is very, very big. Okay, so we made this I think brave decision, because sometimes it's questioned why you do this, why you remove the backend rendering. So we think that this is very, very positive, okay, when you are designing a web solution, and more a web desktop one, okay, to move this piece out. Then we tried to move everything from WCF, that is a proprietary technology from Microsoft, that is very flexible, but is also difficult to understand, and is difficult to integrate with other solutions. Okay, for example, if you try to make a WCF connection to Java or PHP, it was sometimes very, very difficult. And we tried to make a simplified version of this WCF using ASP.NET, Web API, and Swagger to offer to the front end all the information that it needs. So at the end, you have a front end with a lot of HTML applications that are consuming, okay, all this information from REST APIs. What at the end is so much simple. At the service layer, we also removed, okay, all these applications, okay, all these processes that is running inside the IIS. Okay, the services were also a difficult piece to work with. We are very tied to the Windows infrastructure, so we switched also the services layer to .NET Core, and we had also the ability to run our code in Red Hat, in Ubuntu, in Mac OS, apart from Windows. Okay, we are opening the hosting abilities that we have with our current existing .NET Core code. Everything that is in .NET cannot be directly migrated to .NET Core, because not all the APIs from the framework are being current open source. So you have the limitation that the .NET Core is a subset of the bigger framework from Microsoft. So not all the code can be migrated, but a vast majority of it. Okay. In terms of data access, in the bottom of the technology stack, we've worked with Microsoft technologies for long. Also, we relate first with datasets, then with Entity Framework in this previous closed source version, and now we are switching to the open version 1 with Entity Framework 1 core. And also we are giving the developers the chance to work with this Dapper, that is an open source library from Stack Overflow that is very, very fast in read operations. So we're giving the chance to developers to choose the right tool for the right data access moment. Okay. Then at the level of the framework, we have removed all the old enterprise library. I don't know if even you've worked anyone with these enterprise libraries in the past. okay, from Microsoft, that Microsoft lately removed the support and stopped developing them. So we had to switch to other open source solutions, okay, to run the injection dependency and properties mapping and so on. Okay. Any questions so far about the technology stack? Okay, we continue. Okay. At login level also, we also relate in the past with the Microsoft patterns and practices login blocked, and we made the switch, okay, to this common login solution. Okay, that is in the Java world is widely known and is quite standard nowadays. And from a hosting point of view, we relied always with the Microsoft IIS, okay, for all the applications. And now we're moving to a scenario where .NET Core brings us the ability to deploy to any container solution that we have in the market. So all the problems that you may have in the past hosting applications within the IIS, like we've seen, no? You have a problem, you have to change a digital certificate from the server and all the applications stop working and so on. They are all gone because you can create packages of your application and deploy them to other systems. And this is, I think that Docker is one of the core technologies that bring me the idea, no? That we can create small packages, like we can create small containers with our software modules, with any technology, and we can deploy it in the way an app store does. No? So I think that Docker is the starting point where the idea came in, and is the base, okay, to create this corporate web desktop. And last but not least, in terms of security, we have extensively relayed with Active Directory Federation Services, Windows Authentication, okay, and the Windows Identity Foundation module from Microsoft. And lately we are switching to an open source solution, okay, that you can freely download at GitHub that is called Identity Server, okay. Identity Server is a solution that it follows the OpenID Connect specification. It is WS Federation compatible. It can work with all the previous scenarios you found in enterprises, okay. And it also has an ASP.NET identity extension out of the box. That means that you can create any application using Microsoft Stack and connect to a central single sign-on solution that is also free for you. You don't need to pay anything, okay, to get up and running a basic solution for handling the user authentications. Okay, but I think that it is especially important because it's also the point that the most of companies have found. No? How can I handle these scenarios where you need to make this single sign-on? Well, you need to create custom integrations to authenticate your users. No? I need two-form factor authentications. What can do? You can purchase a product market that they are going to build you for the product, and then any modifications on any plugins you need. So you can download this project, you can customize it, you can be auth to compliant, and you can run it also inside a container. So at the end, it's giving us a great flexibility to work on this. Okay. So at the point of the first stage of the idea, we have a very simple Visual Studio solution, okay, that has two clear software pieces. Okay, the front end based in HTML and JS only, and the back end with .NET solutions. Okay, and a single sign-on solution that we can fully customize to any client and any needs they have. Okay. And also we can offer, for the first time in the history, deploy to any platform the clients may need in their data centers. Okay. And also important, the design of this framework allows us to change any technology. For example, if we don't want in the future to develop using Microsoft technologies, it's a piece in the architecture that we can replace. We can use Java, PHP, or we can create a vast ecosystem of developers using several languages, okay? So I think that in the near future, following this path, creating an architecture that can be put inside containers, that can be published to an app store, and then can be deployed to several enterprises, it's something that may be not revolutionary, but I think that this is a real need for any company to create a desktop and have this ability to download an application, automatically apply updates, and so on. That's all for my part. If you have any question regarding the idea, the concept.
Are you able to show any of the front ends you've developed?
Sorry?
Are you able to show any of the front ends?
Not at the moment, because we have not the ability right now to publish anything, okay? Because how we are funding the idea is private funding from companies that is paying for private projects. But we hope in the soon to be able to publish something that we can share with the community. Okay, I hope, and Pau, correct me if I'm wrong, that we may find also the way to open source these tools, maybe.
Right, the thing is, Ibris as a consultancy firm does not really have a great history on open source, but thanks to the acquisition by NTT Data, the bigger consultancy, a Japanese consultancy, they are really devoted to open source. They are the top contributor to Hadoop, so they are forcing Ibris to release more. In fact, next week I am meeting with the guy in charge of the crowdsourcing, open sourcing, whatever they are calling Ibris Infinite program, which will pave the way to this. Is one of the strategic goals for the company for the next 2 years. On open sourcing and on opening and having more products developed by communities and making money not on the product itself, but on the service around it. So this should be. But I think you can show on the screen, like something, maybe the app launcher or something like some application.
You mean showing?
Yeah, like on the screen. So actually, if it works from here, the experience.
No, I don't have. No, I don't have the access right here because we need to VPN and everything. So at the moment, I think it's not possible. I hope that soon we can start showing things in public. Okay.
Are you using this approach just for greenfield projects, or have you converted any legacy, say, WPF desktop apps into onto this new architecture? How's that gone?
We've doing one interesting project that was a big system that is making the forecast purchasing from a supermarket in Spain. And what we've basically done is removing all the old presentation layer and put in place a new front end. Okay, so this is a partial migration of a big application. And then we've been able to create this this web API that is posting all the legacy services on all the information that has not been modified because in terms of time and money it was not feasible to recreate everything from scratch and create this solution using this new framework. Okay. You have two scenarios, basically. You can start from scratch. There's a lot of money if this is a critical application, and you can go layer by layer replacing the technologies that is running.
And did you find any holes between stuff you could do on a thick desktop application, such as printing, and going to a browser-based approach? Did the users like the final result? Was it a success?
Could you please repeat on any story?
Sorry. How was the transition from a desktop application that might be able to do things like printing or playing sounds to a web-based application? Did users find the transition easy?
Okay. Yeah, the point is that the application that in this concrete case was also a web application, okay? A very old web application that was an aisle on the company. So we've put this tool inside this web desktop and started working. So for the users, was really nice because, as I said, the user experience is 10 years. And in the technology world, that is like 100 years for us. Any further questions? Yes?
How tight is your coupling between the layers?
How tight?
Yeah, in other words, can you use AngularJS?
Yes.
If tomorrow you know how it goes, your developers say, we don't like the AngularJS, we want something else. Will that be a big effort to change?
Yes, the point is that all the layers are very, very decoupled. The only point of a coupling between the presentation and the backend is the REST services. So you can easily change Angular for React, for instance, if you feel more comfortable or whatever. Or even you can combine the two technologies, because at the end the desktop is a framework that is rendering HTML for the user. So you can even combine these two technologies based on the real needs of the client. We are relying on Angular. We started 1.5 years ago. We started with Angular 1 and 2, I think. And we found that was really productive. We have very good feedback from the engineers that started were switching from the old Microsoft paradigm of MVC or web forms to Angular. And I think that we've made in the past the right choice. And we need to see now what happens if we migrate to Angular 2, or maybe change to React or Flux or whatever. Okay, this is something that we need to discuss. We need to discuss now. My personal bet is to keep going to Angular, because it gives us good results in the past. They fixed one of the main problems that they had in the past, that was the performance. They made a big change to attack this issue that they had. So let's see what happens.
Do you have control over the client browser? Are you having to deal with things like Internet Explorer 9, 10? And what testing do you use for the client side?
We have to bring support to Internet Explorer, because also in Spain, especially I'm from Valencia, and the Valencia region is very Microsoft prone. They have a lot of Internet Explorer 8, 9, 10. So we are very, very tight also to the Angular version 1.4, because we need to grant the functionality with these old browsers. At the same time, we're trying to the clients to upgrade the browser, because for us it's a pain, because we need to create a lot of tests. We need to use Selenium and automate everything, and we need to even develop patches to make all the things work fine, because in Chrome everything works perfect. But when you go to Internet Explorer 8, and Pau, you also saw this issue. In Internet Explorer 9 or 10, I don't know what the version, 9. Internet Explorer 9 had serious issues when you open a lot of async operations at the same time, because so it's really difficult, but it's also a challenge for us.
Well, the thing with web technology, and sorry for stealing that series. There's so many browsers out there, and they are releasing versions so quickly and changing so quickly that essentially when you develop a web application that will last longer than a couple of years, you have to support 8, 10, 20 browser versions. So it's difficult for corporate applications that only get updated maybe once or twice a year, and may go 2 or 3 years with no updates. And I think that part of the equation is not really being taken care by the browser developers or the web framework developers. A few years ago, I worked for an automation company, and the kind of products that we develop for defense and industrial automation last for 20 or 30 years. So when we developed an application in Delphi, I was sure that the same binary would work flawlessly on Windows 95 to Windows 10. Same binary. Set compatible to both or anything, but it was maybe a morning, 4 or 5 hours work. And I had a 20-year lifespan for that application. Now, with a web application, I gave up on that. That's when the moment I decided I will rather go into management than into development. But they started developing the application, and after 6 months, when they are still developing the application, it no longer works with the browser that used to work. It's now we have a newer version of Chrome or Firefox or Opera have changed the rendering engine or whatever, and boom. And everybody wants it to work with the latest Android version or iOS version or anything. You are no longer in control of anything. And when something breaks, the user blames you. The customer blames you. And that's the big trouble I have with web.
Yes. Also dependency on all products. You purchase a product.
Not only transport 8, 9, 10. Yeah. It's worse than that.
No, and also you buy a very big product for your business or any corporate application that we mentioned before, and they give you support for Internet Explorer 9, and this software should span from 10 to 15 years, 20 years, and you are blocked to this version of the browser, and it's very, very difficult to handle the situations. But also, the web solution also gives us the ability to automate all the deployment pipeline and start replacing versions, and it's very, very, very dynamic for us. Okay. Any question? I think we have 3 minutes now. Also, so that's all. Thank you. Also, you have any interest or you want to share your thoughts with me about what I said, feel free to email me, tweet me, whatever, and we can further discuss this. Thank you.